stop at journalists, and you have some advice, I think, Olivier, right? What should journalists
Uh,
stop doing?
yeah, I try to think of something. It's not always easy, but there is something that I noticed regarding videos, but I think you can apply it to articles as well. It's I think journalists need to pay attention not to use always the same techniques when they tell a story. And
Yeah,
I know about videos because with my colleague David a few years back, we created those guidelines to create the good explainer, because you have some narrative techniques that they work, so we
yeah.
kind of put that
So
formally on Google Doc.
yeah,
But after a while we realized that our journalists tend to always use the same sentence in their videos, which
yeah,
went like this: mais alors pourquoi, mais alors pourquoi, and so why, and so why. See?
yeah, yeah,
And it always the same tone, and it became a joke at the end, because you could actually edit all the videos and put all the sentence together.
yeah, yeah.
Which it's okay, actually. It's fine. It's just I think we need to pay attention to that. It's like that's the image I used last time when we talked about it. It's like having a good recipe. There is that you're mastering, I don't know, like risotto or carbonate flamande or whatever French dish. You love it,
Take
but
that
if you do
down.
it all the time, if you cook it all the time, people will get bored of it. So you need to pay
Yeah,
attention not to always
yeah.
do the same thing, I think.
But when it comes to innovation, this is a very interesting process, because I think what you're describing is, I think to a lot of people, is probably familiar. So you try to innovate, you come up with something new, which is very experimental, and then you evolve it and
Mm.
incrementally make it better. Then you found something that actually works. So you write your sort of format, your Google Doc of best practices, and then you get wary, and maybe your audience gets wary as well. Like, and now what? Like, and then, so how do you know when you should change the sort of the right recipe, because it works in a way, and then after a while it doesn't work? So that, where's the tipping point, do you think?
That's a very good question. I guess a good way of knowing that is to look at the comments and
Yeah,
see if the feedback is still good, or if people are sick of it. That's on YouTube. That's something very valuable that we have on YouTube, is that people do comment and do say if they
yeah,
think it's shitty or pretty good.
yeah,
um, and then I guess you need to trust yourself. I think it's something that you need to keep in mind. You have to reinvent what you do all the time, otherwise
yeah,
you get
yeah.
rusty.
Okay, so that's your advice. To recap, stop it, journalist. If you found the right recipe, please change it every once in a while, because it will get wary, and take a look at what the audience, how they perceive it, how they respond to it, and you will feel if what and if you need to change, right?
Hmm? That's a good
Okay, now,
summary.
and now we want to reverse that, and you have some advice on what journalists should start doing. Can you tell us a bit?
Yeah, what I thought about is this time is not regarding videos, it's more about management.
Yeah,
Because, we journalists tend to think that newsrooms and media are not like other companies. They are special. They have their own way of working, which is true in some extent. But I
yeah,
think that it's still important to try to see how other types of companies work and function, so that you can get idea, get inspiration, and maybe try them in your newsroom.
yeah,
For instance, I like some of the agile method tools that people use a lot in marketing companies or in developers departments.
yeah,
There is one especially that I used in the video department, and I'm trying to implement as well in the newsroom now. It's I don't know what it's called exactly, but it's a keep, drop, start puzzle exercise. So basically, you
yeah.
uh, gather
Evaluating your process, right, and
yes,
the way your team works. Yeah,
you
yeah,
gather your team in one room, and you ask them to go on the board and say, okay, what should we keep doing? What should we start doing? Should we stop doing? And
yeah,
what doesn't make sense right now? And I think it's a pretty useful tool because, well, first of all, it involves everyone, so people will feel more involved because as a team.
Do they write it
Uh,
on post This is what we should
They
keep.
write it on
Start,
Post-it and put
stop.
them on
Yeah,
a board. Yes,
yeah. Okay.
and then at the end they have to also collectively vote for the what should be the next aims for the coming month, 2 month,
Yeah.
3 month, until the next time they actually gather together again.
So first post,
And
you categorize, and then you vote with stickers,
yeah,
dot stickers, or something. Yeah.
yeah, and that's I think one of the good aspects of it is that it creates some kind of sense of belonging, because they collectively decide, okay, this is what we want to work on for the coming month. And the third, I think, advantage of this method is that everyone speaks. And in a team, you always have some people who talk more than the others and tend to attract all the attention. But with this exercise, people have, like, let's say 3 minutes each, and everyone has to speak, which is, I think, pretty good to get new ideas out there, and so that
And not just
people
the
don't feel
ones who are,
frustrated.
not the ones who are quite dominant or most vocal, but everyone has to speak if they have frustrations or positive things to add. Yeah, that's so everyone has the sort of is on the same level and has the same authority and the same influence.
Exactly.
It's an interesting method. Yeah. So this is your advice to journalists. Try to evaluate in this matter, because then you make it more objective and neutral than let's do a quick roundup and just the regular usual suspects. They say something and then the other one emails it at night, and it's always the same thing, right? So more or less.
I did not invent anything. It's like really common in some companies, but when you talk about this kind of exercise as to journalists, they don't know this kind of tools, and I think that's too bad.
Yeah, and I think what you're referring to is the Scrum. You can't call it a method officially, but it's Scrum, like from the rugby, right? The Scrum method, the Agile method, and then what you're referring to is, I think, the retrospective, where you look back on the process and then have this as an evaluation tool: keep, drop, add, improve. I think, right? Yeah.
That's what I was looking for, and as usual, you phrase it more perfectly than me.
Well, thank you. Yeah, but it's so nice that you were sharing this piece of advice. And with that, we've come to more or less to the end of the show, Olivier.